Okay, folks, get ready. Buckle up. Today, we're going deep,
Hmm.
deep into Indian food.
Oh, yeah, one of my favorites.
Mine too. You know, we're all about those deep dives, right?
Mhm.
Getting into the nitty-gritty.
Absolutely. No stone unturned.
Exactly. And today, well, we've got this recipe guide we're looking at. It's for Chana Masala and homemade roti.
Classic.
Yeah, and everyone loves those. But I think what we really want to do today is equip you all, our amazing listeners, with the knowledge to not just follow this recipe, but to understand it.
Yes, the why behind the what.
Right. Like, why do we do certain things? What makes Indian food, and specifically these dishes, so unique, so
We're
delicious?
going to unlock those secrets, those
Yep.
culinary
Yeah, I
secrets.
love that. Culinary secrets. And, you know, as I was looking through this recipe guide, there were a few things that stood out to me. Like, for the chana masala, it talks about using either dried chickpeas or canned.
Oh, yeah, that's a common question.
Right. And I'll be honest, like, part of me is always like, canned?
I
Easy?
get it. Convenience is tempting.
But the guide, it emphasizes this traditional method of using dried chickpeas and soaking them overnight. And I gotta say, I'm intrigued. Like, what's the deal with that?
So there's a real reason for that overnight soak. It's not just about rehydrating the chickpeas, though that's obviously part of it.
Right.
But the soaking, it actually starts to break down those complex sugars in the chickpeas.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, and that's what leads to, get this, a creamier, smoother texture in the final dish. And bonus, they're easier to digest.
So it's not just tradition, it actually impacts the outcome.
Big time. Think of it as like a gentle pre-cooking step. It sets the stage for those perfectly cooked chickpeas you want in your chana masala.
Okay, you've convinced me. Soaking it is. But overnight, that's a commitment.
It sounds like a lot, but it's really just passive time. You just let them sit and do their thing.
True, true. But for those of us who might be a little, shall we say, impatient,
Uh-huh. I knew you were going there. You're thinking pressure cooker, right?
well, yeah, it's a lifesaver in the kitchen.
And guess what? It works wonders for chickpeas, too. Cuts down the cooking time significantly.
See, now you're speaking my language. Efficient and delicious.
That's the goal.
Now let's move on to the masala itself. The recipe outlines a very specific order for adding ingredients.
It's like a dance, a carefully choreographed flavor dance.
I love that. And it seems pretty straightforward, follow the steps. But I'm curious, what's the reasoning behind that specific order? What's the magic?
Okay, so first, we bloom the spices in hot oil. This just means letting those beautiful spices, like cumin seeds, release their oils into the oil.
Ah, so that's where that initial burst of flavor comes from.
Exactly. And then comes the slow cooking of the onions and aromatics. Ah, this is where things get really interesting. We're talking caramelization, depth, complexity.
Now it's making sense.
Yeah.
So my rushed curries, that's why they're not quite there.
Maybe. Patience is key in Indian cooking. And speaking of flavor, I saw green chilies in the ingredient list.
Yes. Now, I'm a fan of a little heat, but what about those who prefer things milder?
Great point. The recipe actually lists those chilies as optional, which I appreciate. You can totally adjust your spice preference.
So customizable.
Absolutely. And it's a good reminder that Indian food is about so much more than just heat.
Right.
It's about balance. Take turmeric, for instance, that beautiful golden spice.
Oh, I love turmeric.
It has this warm, earthy flavor, and it's even thought to have some health benefits.
Yeah, I've heard about its anti-inflammatory property.
Exactly. And then there's amchur powder. It's made from dried green mangoes and adds this tangy, almost citrusy punch. It balances out any richness in the dish.
So it's a symphony of flavors, each playing its part. My mouth is watering just thinking about it. Now, on to the roti. I noticed the ingredient list is surprisingly simple. Flour, water, salt. That's it.
Right. You'd think it'd be more complicated.
I know. But that's where the technique comes in, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Much like soaking those chickpeas, the way you handle the roti dough makes all the difference.
So kneading is crucial.
Oh, yeah. You want that dough to be soft, smooth, pliable, and then, just like with the chickpeas, you let it rest. This allows the gluten to relax, resulting in softer, more pliable roti.
Uh-huh. So that rest period is key for both the chickpeas and the roti. It's all connected. And then what? What happens next with the roti?
Okay, so picture this. You've got these thin discs of dough, you toss them onto a hot pan, and poof, they puff up, turning all golden brown and beautiful. It's like magic.
Wait, they puff up. How does that happen? I've definitely had my share of roti fails, more like flatbread than anything else.
The puffing happens when steam gets trapped between the layers of the dough as it cooks. That's why that soft rested dough is so important. It creates those
Okay,
layers.
now I understand. Technique is everything. It's so much more than just following a list of ingredients.
Right, and when you finally bring it all together, that vibrant, flavorful Chana Masala next to those warm, fluffy roti, it's not just a meal, it's an experience.
Absolutely. And the recipe guide, it actually has photos, which I think is really helpful.
Visuals are so helpful, especially for those of us who are visual learners.
For sure. So to wrap things up, what have we learned today?
I think we've learned that Indian cooking, it's an art.
It's about understanding the ingredients, the spices, the techniques. It's about patience, balance, and a little bit of magic.
And this is just the beginning. Indian cuisine is so vast and diverse. Each region has its own unique flavors and traditions.
So what are you waiting for? Go out there, explore, experiment, find your own culinary adventures, and don't forget to share your creations using hashtag Indian recipes. We'd love to see what you come up with.
Until next time, happy cooking, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.